Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Code with Italians, where hopefully things work. Possibly things don't work. Probably things don't work. I don't know. I don't even remember how this works. It's been a long time. It's nice to be back. Hi, Alex. How you doing? Hi, Ivan.
Hello.
Ivan, what does your T-shirt say?
Hola.
What does your T-shirt say?
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. Mi camiseta, porque tengo que hablar en
Oh
español.
no.
Gracias, 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 Mike. Or should I say Miguel? Did you see what I did there? Anyway, so my T-shirt is the last thing that we built on the new merch. The link is in the description. Basically, Sebastiano designed it. You will never be able to read it, but it's a ChatGPT prompt that Sebastiano probably I will. It's like we can't hear Alex.
I am checking what's
Thanks,
going on.
Mark.
Don't worry. You keep talking.
And so if you want to check it, it's on the merch store, and it's my way of building content and things for the stream. And Sebastiano had to troll me, so now we have another T-shirt. So thank you. For just to get on with the support and subscription thingy, I want to thank you for being with us for so long. We are approaching 2 years. I mean, if you can believe it.
Damn.
You can support us buying our merch on the link that I sent you below, or you can support us for free if you have an Amazon Prime subscription. You can connect your Amazon account to your Twitch account, and you will see a toggle that says subscribe free with Amazon Prime. It doesn't cost you anything. It's gonna allow us to print the stickers and things like that, and most important, to ship them for free. I send more stuff last week, so people are gonna receive them in a few days. We also send out a couple of pins just for the patients that a few winners gave us. So I'm very, very happy. Give it a shot. If you want to subscribe to our coffee page, if you want to become like a monthly supporter, just check the coffee page and join the small but very, very active group of people that can access our post-stream chat. Usually our guest is there. Usually Mark Ellison in there. Yeah, I know. No, I didn't forget about Elivano. It was quick because I'm rust. I'm rust. My Spanish is weird lately. And that's it. So I will El Gato. El Gato. Yes, El Gato. It's yeah. Yes. It's my fair enough. It's a special guest. So let's make a formal introduction. Sebastiano, what do you think?
Yes. So, hi, I'm Sebastian.
No, that's not what I mean.
Oh,
So,
okay.
Alex, welcome and welcome back. Could you introduce yourself, please?
Yes, hopefully the audio is working now.
Should be.
Hi, everyone. I'm Alex. I'm an Android developer relations engineer at Google. I'm mostly focusing on large screen stuff, but do a lot of compose stuff as well. And some of that overlap should be in store today. And this is Apollo that is going to be walking back and forth in front of the camera. Also very important, definitely the star of the show.
Yeah. We are a pet-friendly show here.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So what do we do? What do we do today, Sebastiano?
Well, I'm the wrong person to ask this. The right person to ask this to is Alex. So, Alex, what are we doing today?
What are we doing today? We are building an expandable pane in Compose. So if we switch over to the screen sharing I have, I can show a demo of what we hopefully will get to.
Oh, is that a foldable?
It is
Do we have a foldable in the IDE?
We do have a foldable in the IDE.
Look at that.
So this is Pixel Fold running an app, and the expandable pane part is here in the center. So right now we're showing both a list and a detail, and then if I drag this, I can swipe it over and either expand the list completely or expand the detail completely.
Oh, so beyond a certain point, it snaps either open or closed, right?
Yes,
Okay.
exactly. So if I'm like right about here and then let go, it'll go, depending on where I am, it will snap to one of the sections. So there's kind of like 3 points here. There's a center point where both are showing, and then there's over here and then over here. And then if it was completely open, then I click on something, it'll go over to the other side. And then right now, if I click back, it'll go back to the list. So this kind of expandable pane gives more control to the user for like how much you're seeing. And this isn't new. Like if I go in Android Studio and I start adjusting the size here, like this is a natural behavior that we expect. Like if Android Studio didn't let you resize this window, you'd be like, what is going on? I want this to be smaller and bigger. So yeah, we're going to take a look at how to do that in Compose. So the starting point that I have is it needs blur on resizing. No blur. We're not going to cover blurs today. Maybe that'll be a follow-up episode. I know that gets really complicated because graphics reasons. So the starting point I have is in the user interface samples, and I can find the link to paste in. But let's run that now and then see where we're starting at. And hint, there's not going to be an expandable pane. So right now, this is kind of like the starting point. So we have a list on the left, detail on the right, but there's no way to adjust this. Just kind of a fixed size here.
Question,
and then
please.
If we like
annoying question. The TwoPane panes thing.
Yes.
The left and the detail. How do you do that? Is it because I'm used to do it with fragments and things like that, so I don't compose. Yep. I can't compose.
Can't?
How do we do
want?
it? Is it one layer? Come on, give me a break. So is it something that you build? Comes in Compose UI, and can I build it? Should I build it?
You definitely should build it if you have something that makes sense like that, because you can use more space. Like especially on a foldable here or like a tablet, like you can use that extra space to actually show more things to the user. For actually building it, in this sample specifically right now, it's using TwoPane from Accompanist to get this behavior. But this is something that we're working on more. There's the Material 3 adaptive library that is currently in alpha right now. So if you're interested to go even further, definitely check that out. I'm not going to be using that today just because this is something we're actively working on for that as well. So I'm not sure exactly how it'll flesh out there, but hopefully this will be an idea of how you can build this kind of expandable pane onto something you might already have and in different situations. So this is basically the logic right here for how we are showing the two different panes. So if we want to show both the list and detail based on some logic above, we have the TwoPane with the start and the end. Okay. Then there's a bit of strategy for how the configuration is, and we'll be messing with that a bit to do the expandable pane. And then otherwise, if we're just showing the list, we'll show the start. Otherwise, it's showing the detail. So this is the kind of setup we're going to be working with today.
Okay, thanks.
All right, so let's jump into it, I guess. The star of the show here on the technical side is going to be an anchored draggable state, an anchored draggable modifier, which is, I think, newish. I think it's either 1.6 or 1.7. So it's a pretty new thing. So pretty new
this
component.
Is definitely something that I will need to use on desktop as well. So I'm learning See?
So
I'm working.
welcome to the show. Welcome to the show, Alex.
Sorry, it's too
No,
relevant.
no,
I'm sorry.
it's fine,
I'm sorry,
it's
it's too
fine.
relevant.
There's always enough chance that my manager might pop in into a stream, so it's good to show I'm learning.
So anchor draggable state. I'm going to click into this a little bit. It's an experimental API right now. I'm on 1.7.0 alpha 1 for compose. And the anchor draggable kind of gives you that behavior.
Like it's like
Yes.
Okay.
Even I'm
Brave
surprised
Yep.
that you're surprised that we have timing with these streams.
No.
I believe this is in 1.6 as well. I don't think this is 1.7 only,
Okay.
but I think it's still experimental 1.6 too. So anchor draggable state will give us that kind of behavior of having 3 different spots that you can adjust the thing to. As the name kind of implies, it's draggable, but there's specific anchors that it will drag to and then snap to. And like if you let go, it's not going to just sit there. It's going to go to one of the 3 fixed points. And so that fixed points is exactly the generic T in the anchor draggable state. So this T is whatever we decide it to be. And it will define the 3 states that we want to have. So I'm going to just define that down here. Set up an enum of, let's see, what should it be? Anchored draggable target. And we're going to have kind of from that initial thing, list only, both, or detail only. So these are going to be the 3 states that we want to have our pane that can kind of snap into, showing just list, the detail, or both. So that'll be the type that we want. And then one of the first things we want to do is the initial state. And I'm going to do both here. So let's do both. And then there's a bunch of other arguments that we're going to need in here. So the main constructor has a positional threshold, velocity threshold, an animation spec, and then confirm value change. That one's optional, so leave that one out. So let's do those. These first 2, the velocity, positional threshold and velocity threshold, these are both kind of configuration values around how the snapping works. So I'm just going to put something in here for right now, and then if this is doing some weird stuff, we will figure that out later to how to fix that. Why is this not working? Oh, okay. Speaking of the 1.7, yes, this is now slightly different. The API changed in 1.7. So now I need to use the new API, which added a few more things. Decay animation spec. I think there's an exponential decay. Let's try that one. What am I still missing? Positional threshold.
Somebody in the chat suggests, is it opt-in? Should you add the opt-in thingy?
Oh, it's probably complaining about that as well.
So
snap animation spec. All right, now we're figuring out how to call this. And then velocity threshold. I think this one is just a float. Let's do some size. the density to convert a dp to pixels, and then pass in. So both of these are in pixels and correspond to the kind of the thresholds. There's the opt-in. Let's opt in now. The thresholds for how the snapping works. So I think I'm just going to ignore these for now because it'll kind of be that tweaking of exact behavior that we want at the end. If it's like if you're starting to drag and then if you always want it to like go to where you're dragging or be a lot stricter, like you have to drag it further in order to go away from the anchor drag point where you are. That's where this kind of configuration comes in. So once we have an anchor draggable state, this is the main state that's going to be driving all of those interactions that we hopefully will get. And the main way that we're going to be using this is modifier.anchorDraggable, and then we pass in our anchor draggable state. And this is kind of like a draggable modifier. It uses it under the hood, but it's going to be kind of working with the anchor draggable state to be updating the target value where we are and snap to things where you are finishing up. So there's kind of two parameters we need here. First is the state, and then second is the orientation. And since we want this kind of dragging left to right to do the panel, we're going to do a horizontal orientation. But we actually need to put this anchor draggable onto something that we're going to drag because right now it's not applied to anything. So from that example originally, we don't want the entire panes to like be draggable. We just want that drag handle, that kind of thing in the middle to do that. So let's build a thing to draw that draggable handle. So I'm going to put this kind of overlaid on top of the TwoPane. So the main TwoPane here was displaying our content. And then here I'm going to start drawing a draggable handle that is going to always be kind of overlaid on top. Since it's after the TwoPane, it should render above everything inside this box, which is our kind of main container here. So let's start building this. We're going to draw a canvas, and then let's do something just really simple first. So let's do a color of, let's just do an outline for material. And then for this size, let's do a width of 16 dp, and let's do 64 dp tall. So let's rerun this, and let's see where that shows up. We should see it. All right, it's up here. It's not great, but we can fix that.
And that's step one.
It exists. Yep. Then we can refine. So I'm going to put this box. Since we're in an outer box, we can align within that outer box with modifier.align. I'm going to do alignment dot center start. All right, that's looking better. And then right now, whoops, we went back. So right now we can't actually do anything with it. So we want to make it draggable. So what I'm going to do here is we could apply it to this canvas that we want that's drawing something. But we want, like 16 dp is kind of a pretty small touch target. So I'm actually going to apply the that anchor draggable modifier that we had up here. I'm actually going to apply it to this outer box that we have. And then we're just going to kind of draw something inside of it with the rectangle.
So you can make the box bigger than the actual visible part?
Exactly. Yeah.
Smart.
So if we apply this, still doesn't drag. And that's expected. because there's one thing we haven't done yet with the anchor draggable, and that is defining our anchors, as the name implies. So there was a variant of this constructor that takes anchors, and that's this draggable anchors object. But one tricky thing about the anchors is the anchors need to be kind of in the pixel coordinates of the layout to define where it's going to be. So the structure of the anchors, if I start creating this, there's a helper method, and then it'll be that same anchor draggable. So we're going to want to define where precisely list only, both, and detail only correspond to for the positions of the target. So if we do list only, so list only, we want to have, let's see, we need to think hard about coordinate spaces. So these values on the right are in pixel coordinate positions of where we want it to be. So right now, this is not going to do what we want to do, where list only is at 0, both is at 1, detail only is at 2. I think we can actually, let's try making these bigger and see what happens. We're going to update anchors and pass in these anchors. This is not what we want, but let's just see if this does something useful. Okay. Also, I have gesture navigation on, which is really annoying to try to drag this because it's getting overridden. There's a way to fix that, actually, which we should definitely do. And that is system gesture exclusion. We just apply that, and now that tells the system, hey, I really want this to actually do our draggable thing.
Oh, it's much easier to do in Compose.
Yes, yes. If you know what this does under the hood, you know that Compose makes this way
much easier.
Yep.
My most hated missing feature in every app. That thing that nobody's doing that.
Yeah.
Every time I'm like, I want to swipe, boom, home. No. And it's one line, people. Get your shit together. Come on.
There is a restriction, just since we're talking about it, there is a restriction based on the main API it's using, is there's only a certain amount of the screen that you can exclude this on. I don't know the exact number. I think it's like 200 or 300 dp on the side of the screen. So you can't apply it to everything throughout the screen, which makes sense because you need to be able to swipe back from somewhere. But yeah, if you have a draggable target like this, or a slider, or some like specific view that you want to swipe back and forth for, like a photo picker, applying this to like where people are actually trying to drag would help a lot to avoid leaving the app. Let's see. Okay, not sure why this is working, but it's not what we actually want, so I'm going to continue on. So one of the tricky things with anchor draggable state to make it work is because these things are layout specific positions, we don't have that information until we start to lay out. So, but we need to have the state ready to be able to like make our modifiers, compose things in composition. So there's kind of a chicken and the egg problem of we need to have in composition the state to apply to stuff, but we don't know where we want to be until later in the phases, until layout starts happening. So the way around this is that there's this update anchors function, which is expected to be called at some point after creating this initial state object during layout. And then how we're actually going to use this is there's in this anchor draggable state an offset that we get. That's why this wasn't doing anything. An offset from anchor draggable state dot require offset. So this call won't work until we know the anchors. So we need to make sure that this ends up getting called later than the update anchors that's being called. So if I do require offset here, what is this? This needs an int offset. Int offset. So we're not going to offset in the y direction because we're dragging left to right. And then in the x direction, we want to do this require offset, and then we'll round this to int. So let's see what happens now. All right, so slightly different. It's good. So dragging new. All right, let's try putting this. So the whole space that we have here is going to be kind of this outer component. So I'm going to add a layout modifier to this box that doesn't actually do any layouting stuff. It's really just to call this update anchors. So in here, we actually still need to do the normal measurable thing to measure with the constraints. And then we're just going to lay out placeable.width, placeable.height, and then placeable.place relative 0, 0. I think this is about the simplest layout modifier that you can have that doesn't actually do anything. It just like passes it through. But the important bit is now here in this layout, we can update the anchors with the actual correct values. So now let's think a little bit hard about coordinate systems. So when we have list only, that is going to be when this drag handle is at the very right of the screen, because that means that we've expanded the list completely. So when we want list only, this is should be the kind of the max width that we have of the screen. Whereas detail only should be the 0, where it's all the way on the left. And then both we want to be halfway in between. So let's do that. So we have the constraints and we have the placeable. I think this should be the same because we're filling the max width anyway. So both will be at max width divided by 2f. And then list only will be width and then to float. All right. And then we're updating the anchors to use this new draggable anchors. And let's hope this starts actually doing something.
If it doesn't, then we get to debug.
Yep. And it's not working.
We get to debug. We get to debug.
It's to debug. Ah! Lovely. All right, let's see what's happening. All right, let's first just see if this offset is actually updating at all. So let's see. Let's print out this offset and see if actually something's actually happening.
It's the only debugging tool that every developer needs. Print line.
Yeah, that's all I do.
Yeah, that's all you need.
Yep. Okay. Nothing. I don't see anything printing with this. That's confusing. Why is nothing being printed?
It's weird because the offset is applied.
Is it
because
the right device?
No, you are printing.
Is it the right device? No, is it the right device?
Is it the right
In
device?
the lockout?
No, it is not. Thank you.
Try again.
Aha.
Try again.
Okay, we're finally getting this.
Happy to serve.
Yes.
And that's why I'm worth a lot of money. That's it.
You're never worth enough when you can figure out the problem in a second.
No, it's the the screw joke. Yeah, it's the 15 years before knowing what screw. Anyway, I'm just kidding.
Let's see.
So is it the offset like a legit value?
This I think makes sense. That's about halfway through. So that seems to be working.
I mean,
Why
it
isn't
is
the rest not
offset
working?
to the right position. It almost feels like it's the anchored draggable state that is not getting updated
Yeah.
because it doesn't recompose, right?
Let's
Should it be a
try.
remember? If it has to recompose.
This remember. I think this remember is correct. I might need a cheat of when I've created it once. I have that start thing. Hello, cat. You're being very helpful.
Do you need to key that remember somehow?
Shouldn't need to. Let me see. Let me try applying this anchor draggable to. Oh. Maybe this. Swapping the order.
Let's see.
Aha. Okay. That was tricky. So the offset we were applying the offset after the anchor drawable. So that meant the box, like applying the anchor draggable first meant that the box that was draggable was not the offset box. So it wasn't visually where the handle was. So now
it would have
swapping
been on the left-hand side.
Actually, we can check that. Let's go back. Let's see if I now start dragging from way over here in the corner. Aha! It does work.
Ah,
It just
nice.
does
Okay.
not at all visually makes sense. All right. The bugging worked. Okay. So we have a handle that we can drag. I've lost it. Let's go back, open this again.
We drag too much.
We dragged too much.
But how do you disable the system gesture or something?
Is it? Oh, it needs to be applied after the offset as well, I think.
Yes. We should do all this offsetting after. It's the same problem. There we go.
Okay,
so now
nice.
I can actually
Okay.
drag it
Boom, boom, boom.
from the side. So one thing that's a little bit funky here is, well, first of all, we're not actually doing anything to list. We just have this nice draggable handle. But this is kind of getting the behavior that we want. I can drag it between.
I think we're done for the week.
We can do more.
Let's call it a day.
Yeah,
we can
Let's
do
call
more.
it a
coffee
day.
break.
I mean, oh, let's go. I mean,
so how this
this was the deliverable that we agreed on, right?
Yeah, there's
So
the drag handle. Nobody said it. The Jira issue doesn't say anything about it working.
Yeah, as a user, I want to be able to drag a handle through the screen. Oh, done. Ciao.
Yeah.
all right.
Just to be, maybe I lost it at the beginning. Is it a phone connected or is it an emulator?
This is an emulator.
I can. Okay.
Yeah. So I'm going to make this box a little bit bigger, size 64 dp, and then I'm going to center this now. What's the best way to do this? There's two ways to do it. Here's the content alignment in the box. For some reason, I like this one more, but I don't really know why. And then this canvas will now be centered.
They do the same thing. The only difference is that the content alignment sets it to all children, whereas the modifier only on one child. But if you only have one child, they're the same. Right.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of preference. I also prefer content alignment, by the way.
Good. I have a backup there.
Yeah.
So I can now lose this off the screen. So there's a full now kind of box. Actually, if I do layout inspector, we should be able to see this nicely. So the box here,
we need to offset by half the width of the box.
Precisely. Yes. So let's do another offset.
Woo! Super offset, double offset.
Let's do minus 32 dp. And it's going to complain to me because it doesn't like this, but I don't really understand that. I think it's clear enough.
Yeah, I mean, it is technically ambiguous.
Okay.
So
Yes, offset fatality. Yeah, that's the same thing that I was thinking. I mean, we really are brothers from different mothers, because I was thinking exactly the same thing, Mike. Oh man.
All right, so we have this draggable thing. It's working pretty well. So let's actually do something with it, and actually adjust the thing in the background.
Was that Pong? How is it Pong? I mean, you can build Pong.
If you
yeah.
start dragging it up and down, then it
Yeah.
becomes Pong.
Yeah.
That's it. I mean, you change the axis and that's it.
Yep.
A couple of them.
This has turned into a game engine for creating Pong.
Food for thoughts. I'm not saying we need to do it, but okay, I just throw it out there.
All right, so right now, we need to now actually change the TwoPane to do something based on this offset. So right now we have a TwoPane strategy, which I'm going to now ignore. This was what was creating this kind of like either third and 2/3 or quarter, not really sure the exact amount there, but we can change this to give an alternate strategy. So this is something that's TwoPane specific, this strategy of like, where is the break? So we can now do this using our new offset, the same offset that is driving where visually the handle is. We can use that to change where these are being laid out. So the TwoPane strategy needs to return, what does this need to return? A split result. Split result, and the split result is going to be the orientation of the gap, which will always be vertical here, because the kind of border between the two panes is vertical. Vertical, and then the gap bounds is going to be erect, and this is in the coordinate space of the TwoPane. So we can do erect. The size here is just going to be the whole height. Do layout coordinate size dot height, and then wait, what's the one I'm doing? Oh yeah, doing a size. So the size is going to be height, and then it's only going to be, it's not going to have any width. If this was a like foldable device that had like a gap, then you could imagine like there might be some gap that you want to do, or you can adjust padding by changing the width of the bounds. But in this case, we're just going to do a gap of 0 width. Let's bring that in. This needs to be a float. And then where actually this is, the offset, the top of this is going to be always at the very top. So it's going to be a gap that starts at the top, it goes to the very bottom. And then the X, this is where we actually want to do some math based on the offset. And I think it should be as simple as, like, we've defined the coordinates in such a way that this should just be the offset here. I don't think we have to do any other math. Let's see. And then we don't need density, we don't need layout direction. And then look at that.
Whee!
Ooh, that's nice. Look at boom.
Awesome.
Wow. Okay.
So that's,
It also snaps.
it also
It
snaps.
snaps already?
It snaps already.
Nice. This is cool.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's not that hard. Like, it's a little hard.
No.
But
Well,
yeah. We pretty much.
I mean, they probably are. It's probably hard the first time. Then you get it, and now you need to polish. And that's
Yes.
it. I mean, not even.
So,
How much custom stuff is in there? Could it be like a library or like a modifier, like a Uber modifier or something that you just drop in from a large screen, adaptability point of view?
Yeah, that's where like, how do we bring this behavior to like the Material 3 adaptive library that is being worked on? Like, how does this, is this like a default behavior with that, with setting up like a list detail setup? That's some of the things that we're thinking about. Like, how do we make this useful in a default way to get this behavior for free versus allowing customizability like maybe this doesn't make sense. And as we start refining it, maybe there's slightly different choices that you can make here. But yeah, like this is useful and it shouldn't be that hard to do. So how do we build that into more things? And anchor draggable is the thing that's doing a lot of the magic here of all this kind of state snapping things, giving you a nice target value, which we can then use now to drive some other stuff as we refine. So one thing that's going to be fun to refine. So this isn't crashing, but it is a little funky when you like have all this text and then it can render in like one column because that's the only space.
Yeah.
So let's see if we can, same with these buttons, like these buttons are now like,
Yeah, I mean, it works, right?
it works, but it's a little funky. So let's see if we can
Plus
fix
there is
that.
the missing margin around the handle that is giving you OCD, but that's my thing. That's just me. I mean, the fact that it's
Listen,
so claustrophobic
designer
is giving me
designer
Okay.
it's giving me anxiety. No, it's giving me just anxiety because of claustrophobic kind of alignment.
Okay, let's fix that one first because it seems to be causing you a lot of pain. So let's change this canvas a little bit to draw not quite as big. So let's.
Was the cat?
That
Was it
is
the cat there?
Yes, this happened.
Okay.
We have two cats and they like to fight, and it's usually nice, and then
okay.
sometimes it becomes not nice.
Noisy. Say noisy.
So let's be a little efficient about this. So the only thing that we're trying to change is, well, I'll give a hint. We're going to try to also give some nice feedback. So when you start dragging, it's clear that you started to drag this. So we're going to be animating this width a little bit. So let's all bring that into the canvas to only do all that drawing stuff at the drawing point instead of having to change this size in composition. So let's now, instead of this canvas being the 16 by 64, let's now change this to just match the parent size of the box. So now probably we could remove this, but I'm getting ahead of myself. So let's define if the handle is active to be kind of like, right now, if you're not touching it, it's not active. But then if you're holding it and dragging it, let's make it active. So there is a interaction source, an anchor draggable, that if we pass in, we can then pull out info about when it is dragging. So instead of using the default one, we'll pass in an interaction source that we have, and then we can now start
collect all the things.
Yes, collect all the things. So is pressed should be interaction source dot collect is pressed as state is hovered equals interaction source dot collect is hovered as state. Val is, what was the last one? Dragged? It's dragged. It's interaction source dot collect is dragged as state. And then all of these are states, so we can collect those there. And then we'll move this is active down into the canvas. So we're going to do is active is either if it's pressed, or it's hovered, or it's dragged. And then we can then change some sizes based on this.
Nice.
Of course, we want to animate them. So let's do.
Of course.
Let's see.
We are not savages.
So let's do the width here. And I need to move this back up. So if it is active, let's do the 16 DP we had before. Otherwise, let's do, I don't know,
12?
8 DP. 12? Let's try 12.
We'll make it bigger, but not that much bigger.
And then maybe the width height should stay the same. I don't know. This is when you have a designer that
Maybe
tells you
we
what's
can animate
actually...
the color instead of the alpha, I don't know.
Oh yeah, we should do that too. So drag handle color. Let's do by animate color state. If is active, let's do on surface. Sure.
Yes.
And then that should be drawing down here correctly.
Yep.
And then we should do, and we need to start modifying this a little bit. So let's do round.
Man, this is live coding next level with the cat that just annoys you, like live on Twitch.
That's just my date always. The cat just running back and forth as I'm doing stuff.
Does the cat ever press keyboard shortcuts for you?
Yes.
Do you ever mistakenly commit code?
Not mistakenly commit code, but I'm almost like in just a chat and then like been working on something that there's a cat just.
Oh, so someone gets a very weird blah message from you. It's like, oh, cat.
Cat.
And you don't realize it, and then at some point you get a message, Alex, are you okay? And you're like, yeah, why? No, because I got a weird message. Do you need help? Blink if you need help.
All right, so the size of the drag handle is going to be equal to, the width is going to be the width that we have up there. And the height, let's just always set that to be, what did I do before? 64 dp? Let's see if that looks okay. And then let's 2 pixels, width dot 2 pixels. Nice. So that's the drag handle size. So we want to draw this rect now centered in this canvas, and the draw rect gives a top left. So we need to do a bit of math. Size is the overall size of the canvas. And so we want to subtract away the drag handle size. Is there a subtract for this? No, there's not. Math. Coordinate math is always like weird to just think about. I always just like do something that seems like it would work, and then I try it, and then if it's wrong, I just fix it.
It's the same thing when I create a custom layout. I'm like, oh yeah, this makes sense, and then I run it. It's like, what? What the hell did I do here?
So size.width minus drag handle size.width. That will give us the amount of space that isn't taken up. So then we probably need to divide this by 2.
Sure, let's try.
Minus drag handle size dot height divided by 2. And then let's see if this works.
I mean, it should be fairly easy to test by using live edit, but it's just very chonky right now.
It's very chonky. I don't think we did something correct. Oh, there's a size parameter of draw rect. So we probably need to actually set that as well. I think the default size is the full size or something like that. Okay. Hey, there we go.
Chunky.
We can do draw round rect. That should help a little bit.
Okay. Now that's gonna look nice. Oh, you haven't put a corner size.
Yeah.
There's a fancy one that I think is corner size and then percent. I think 100%?
100% is gonna be
run it
like a capsule shape.
Yeah.
But I think the problem is you cannot use corner size for corner radius. Yeah. They're not the same thing. And now you're fucked.
Corner radius. What does this one expect?
I think there is a version that takes
An X and a Y.
Yeah.
Okay, but then so width is always going to be smaller than the height, so we can just do half the width.
I think there is a way to go from a corner size to corner radius, but it's fairly easy to compute anyway.
Why is this complaining? Oh, okay.
Boom.
Hey,
Just needs time.
worked. Hey, that's what
Look at that.
we got. What we want.
Nice.
Look at the chunk.
Peel,
The chunk!
peel.
Okay, let's reduce it a little bit. Maybe we want 12 to begin with, and then maybe 8.
Yeah, that sounds more reasonable.
So one neat thing. Oh yeah, this looks better now. So one neat thing is because we have this 64 size and the offset up here, like all this visual stuff to make it look better isn't actually impacting like the bounds of the draggable.
Mm-hmm.
Like I can actually drag from like outside here, so it's a good touch
Because
target size.
if you were, like, the reason we're doing all of this is that we don't want to change the bounds as you're
Yes.
dragging, because that's going to screw up the dragging big time.
Yep. I'm curious, is there, so corner size, 100%, and then 2 corner radius?
I think corner radius is to corner size as dips are to pixels. That's my vague understanding, but I might be wrong. Or maybe there's a dip corner size that you want. I don't know. This is very confusing. I learned it and then I forgot it over the past 6 months.
Well, we have something that's working, so let's just
Yeah,
keep
exactly.
it there.
It's fine. Ship it.
All right, let's fix some other stuff. So let's fix now this. This is fun, but we could probably do better than this.
Yes.
So what we want to have is we want, like a way to fix this is we only want the pane here on the left or the pane here on the right to have like some minimum width
Mhm.
that it has to have. Like we don't want it to render any smaller than a certain width. So again, this is probably where a designer would be good to tell you what that is, but I'm going to very arbitrarily say it's just 300 dp.
I mean, I'm a UXC. I'm the closest thing there is to designer here. I approve of your choice, Alex.
Nice. So let's now wrap these two things in a box. Start and end. And now let's let's first try this. So for width in, say, a min width of min pane width.
Mhm.
Any guesses of whether this will work?
This does mean like width in and height in seems to only work a few times in my experience. So yeah, that's what I expected.
All right. So the reason for that is kind of how the constraints get passed down. So because of the fold strategy that we have here, the strategy for the TwoPane, when we're in this kind of situation, we are already restricting the min. Like the min is 0, but the max is like whatever this is, about 50 dp, like a very small amount of dp.
Mhm.
So if the max width that we have available is that, and we say the min is 300 dp, it will adjust the min dp to be within that kind of current range that we have. So it won't be able to say min is 300, it will say min is like the 50. It'll get as close as it can, but it doesn't really change anything because...
So it's kind of a
when,
pretty please, I would like this to be this.
yes.
Mm-hmm.
But there is required within. So this is the, but actually, please, I cannot, I need that much space.
It's the I'm an engineer modifier.
Which
Yeah,
It's fun.
seems to work fine.
Yeah, this is fine.
It just needs to clip the contents.
Yes, so let's do that now. So because we're getting this kind of like overlapping, we should probably be clipping this instead. So box, and then let's clip 2 bounds. And then we'll do the same here. So now this should do something a little bit better. That didn't work.
After?
Okay, I've ran into this before. This might be a bug.
Double
If
box.
I added a double box, this works. I don't know why. This might be a bug, and I maybe should report it.
People sometimes say that you should avoid unnecessary boxing, but in this case,
It's necessary boxing.
this was a very bad pun.
I
have no regrets.
I appreciate that.
I have 0 regrets.
I mean, if it works, it works.
I'm going to type alias box to autobox, so then I can autobox everything.
And trigger a lot of people. Yay!
So this one worked.
So
I don't know why the extra box here is necessary. This might be a bug.
We need to ask, because this is weird. Maybe it is a bug that. Well, I mean, what time?
You know,
what time is
another small thing that I would change is that I would anchor, like I would content align the outer box to start, so that when you resize, it doesn't center the content, but it keeps it. It just clips the end of it instead of the centering it. It's a minor thing, but
No, that was the next thing I was going to look at. So that's
nice.
the
content
modifier?
alignment.
Content alignment.
So for the
No,
for the
not a
sake of it,
modifier, just the content alignment parameter. Yeah.
So for the first one, which is the list, we want to align that to center start. And then for this one, we probably want to do the opposite. Center end. Let's try this.
So for the sake of getting the bonus for real, I took so I noted down at what minute are we talking about. We are talking about this. So if Alex report a bug, he can pinpoint the video on YouTube. It's here,
and that's how you get bonuses.
you don't need a repro like a repro GitHub. So you just send them here. Right? This is what we are doing, and this is how it works. Just figure it out.
Okay, this didn't work. So I think it's maybe because of the required thing here. So if we read the documentation for this, the position of the content will be automatically offset to be centered on the space assigned to the child by the parent layout under the assumption that the constraints were respected. So it's the automatic behavior is if there's not enough space to fit it in, it'll be centered within the space that is there. Which is a little unfortunate because that's not really what we want.
I am disappointed.
But the answer to this will be custom layout, which is fun and easy. And I'm not joking. It's actually not that bad. So instead of the required within, let's do a layout here. Again, so placeable. And then, so if we measure this directly with the constraints that were given, this is going to kind of get the problem that we had before where there might be saying you only have 50 dp, render it. We want to be no, we want to render at a higher higher width. So we can just say constraints .copy. So it's going to take in the constraints that we have, but then we're going to override what we have here. So we're really going to say, okay, your min width is, we probably don't need to override this one, maybe, but really it's the max width that we want to override. So max width, we're going to say, no matter what, you always have the min pane width dot 2 pixels. Does this need to be rounded to pixels? This needs to be rounded to pixels. So we're going to say, no matter what the incoming constraints are, you have at least this much space to work with. And when I said at least this much, we probably need to actually do that. So we really want the max size that we have before and this new size. So max of constraints dot max width, and oh, cat, you are not helping. I can't see what's happening. The max of the incoming constraints or the minimum width that we have. And then this will now give us a placeable that will have the desired amount of space. And then we're going to lay out in either, we're going to take up as much as we have, and then we're going to align this placeable ourselves. And in this start case, we can just do simply place relative 0, 0. So this is going to say placeable, measure yourself so that you have a max width that is at least the min pane width. It could be more. And then we're going to still give we're going to respect the constraints ourselves, but then we're going to manually align this instead of getting that centering behavior. So if we do this, we now see that up to 300 dp, it's fine. And then it's now aligned that way. But this one's still broken because we haven't done that one. So now we need to do kind of the same thing, but slightly differently to get the other behavior. So similar thing here, but then this one now we want to place the end of the content at the end of the space that we have, which involves math, I think.
No.
So we want constraints max width minus placeable dot width. I don't know. This is where that sounds right to me in my head, and then I try.
Yeah. This is where my brain is just like, you know what?
Yeah,
try random shit. If it works, it's good. It's good. Otherwise, you can try again.
Okay, and actually that was correct on the first try. So now we get the behavior where it will still clip, and then over here it'll slide that way, and this way it'll slide that way. There was one thing that we saw right when we loaded it for the first time, and that's that this size is kind of over to the right more.
Yeah.
Right aligned.
Yeah, I think what's happening is the placeable that we have
it's too narrow.
Yeah, it's too narrow. It has
Can you show
space.
the layout inspector? I want to understand if there is a box. There is like some.
To the layout inspector.
Yeah, that's always makes. Okay, no. It's just pushed.
TwoPane. So this box is there, and then there's a lot of stuff. The detailed content.
Detailed content.
And there's a layout above it. So yeah, this one's not being measured the entire size. So I think, let's see, how do we want to fix this? We could probably add another box that is centered. We could probably add another box. That's the solution, right? Just always add another box.
Yep.
Go for it. Like double box.
They spent years telling us we couldn't use more views, but now we can.
So modifier to fill max
is gonna
size.
do the magic.
And then I guess we'll do that over here too.
Yep.
And then this content alignment for the box by default is top start. So this should now arrange this. There we go. So that's, I think, what we want. Oh, hi, layout inspector. So there we go. So now we've aligned it properly. And by properly, I mean I haven't checked right to left yet. So probably not actually properly, but at least for left to right, it's working properly.
It's half of the problem solved.
Half the problem solved. That's where some of this place relative makes it even more complicated, when now you need to double check that all your logic works if you flip everything.
Can you do it in the emulator, like with a few clicks, or you need to do the?
I think so. There's a quick tile somewhere. Oh, I'm not a developer yet. I need to become a developer.
Try
It's
harder.
a rite of
Try
passage. We've all been through it, Alex.
Yes. Quick setting developer tiles. There's one in here for force right to left layout
Nice.
direction.
Oh,
There we go.
Oh, here you go.
All right, so let's now go back.
Yeah. Oh, okay. I mean.
Okay.
Oh man, that's brutal.
We don't support right to left languages.
No. Come on, let's give it a shot. I mean, why is doing that? Because it's
so the
because it starts correctly. So the
Yep.
the layout, if you don't touch it, it works. So
I believe anchor draggable state operates in these pixel coordinates that we defined for our anchors. I believe.
So we need a minus.
There's
somewhere.
Let's just see if this works. I know there's a reverse direction here. So let's do.
Is this considered, Sebastian? Is this considered accessibility? The right to left, or is just generic UI? So
IATN.
Oh, okay.
The word is too difficult to pronounce, so I'll just use
internationalization.
That thing.
Okay.
The chat is suggesting adding more boxes, just in case.
Just more boxes. I mean, you can solve almost all problems with more boxes, but I don't think that'll help here actually. So if layout direction is right to left, let's reverse the direction here, and now let's see if it works. No.
Nope.
Do we... wait, do we need to go and change the TwoPane layout strategy thing? Is that
maybe?
Because I think that's the problem here, probably. Because the offset of the thumb is correct, but what is wrong is the layout, the TwoPane.
Yes.
So I guess it's in the TwoPane where you define the TwoPane strategy. That's where you would put a minus, I guess.
Surprised this
or swap them.
I'm surprised this didn't do anything actually. Like, why did this not change right to left?
What does reverse direction do? Is the question.
It's a good question.
What do you expect?
There might be an expectation mismatch, is what I'm saying.
Yeah. Whether to reverse the direction of the drag, so a top to bottom drag will behave like bottom to top, and a left to right drag will behave like right to left. So
okay, let's pretend it works.
It should be possible to do.
No, I mean,
who do we know on the internationalization team?
Yeah, I don't know if this is like a bug or if it's the TwoPane that needs adjusting or coercing.
Can I suggest that we agree that this is Roberto's fault?
It is always Roberto's fault.
Well, I mean, that's the easy way out.
I'm going to go cheat. I'm going to look at. I fixed this before, so I'm going to see what I did and see how far off we are. Okay. Yes, you are correct. We need to change the split result thing here. So this offset needs to be swapped if we're in right to left. So probably need that. If you remember that layout direction that I got rid of,
Yep.
it's probably why this is here.
It sounds sensible when you say it.
Yeah, like, oh, you're given this thing and I didn't use it. Maybe it's like a puzzle. You
Maybe
use the
maybe it's a vertical thing. You don't need it. I mean, there are
true
reasons.
Yeah. Win layout direction. This is a nice win. Left to right, that was working before. And then here we probably want to do, we want to swap it. So layout coordinates dot size dot width minus the offset we have, which should invert the thing. Hey!
Yay!
Nice, nice.
By the way, someone in the chat was asking earlier if the collapsing or, well, the snapping is animated, and it looks like it is, right? It's just the frame rate isn't great, so it's hard to say, but it looks like it's animated.
Yes. And actually we can play with that a little bit more.
Oh my god, this is so weird. Sorry, when you just pull down the...
Yep.
And
right
it's all flipped. I'm like, what the fuck is this, the upside down?
So we can actually take a look at that a little bit. So right now, if I go to full list and then I click on something, nothing happens, which is bad. Like, my expectation here is that it would at least show something of the detail.
Yeah, at least close. I mean, in the middle, right?
Yep.
Reach out to middle. Yeah.
From when I have talked to design about this, the intended behavior here is that it keeps the preference of whether you want to show more or less. So it should swap from this over to this view when you click. And right now that's not happening. So we can actually see.
I would expect it to be in the middle, but maybe I'm not a designer. Well, for sure I'm not a designer. But I'm a user, so that will be my guess.
I'm not an engineer, but I've talked to one in the past.
Yeah, no. Well, unfortunately, this is not true. But okay. But yeah, it would be weird for me to actually cover everything. Yeah.
So there's a set as detail open here, which is what. So backing up a little bit, the things that was here before, this is getting passed in is the detail open, and then set is detail open. So is detail open is just a Boolean that says kind of is the focus on the detailed view. So the detail can be open still in if both are showing, and then that informs if you were to rotate and create the size smaller, what is currently shown. So if the detail is open, it will continue to show the detail open when you rotate. When you go back, it kind of, there's a bit of state that's not necessarily visible, but if you change the window size, it changes what the effect is. So we're kind of needing to inform that. So, and then we also need to then check if that changes and our anchor draggable state isn't in the state that we'd expect, we kind of need to change the anchor draggable state to change to what we want the detail open to be.
Okay.
So let's do something. So let's do a launched effect based on is detail open. And then, so if this is changing, let's do stuff based on what the anchor draggable state currently is. So I need to move this down. So anchor draggable state. So there's a bunch of things that you can get into here. So let's do current value, which will get the current value of the anchor draggable state. And then let's do a win based on that. And this will be one of those 3 states that we defined before. So if it's list only and is detail open is now true, let's do the simple one. If it's both, we don't have to do anything because we're seeing both. Like that's kind of the default behavior. We don't have to do anything. So if list only, if we're showing the list and detail is not open, then we don't have to do anything. So that's this else case. But if detail is open, let's update the anchored draggable state and animate to anchor draggable target dot detail only. And then that's a suspending function, so we need a coroutine scope to launch that into.
But you have it in the launched effect, don't you?
Oh, we do have a launched effect. Well, I don't need one. And then similarly, if we're in detail only, and now is detail open is not true, let's animate back to list only. So it kind of preserves the, whether you're doing only one or the other, it preserves that as it's swapping back and forth, and it animates the anchor draggable state based on that value. So let's see what happens here. Oops. So if we have both and we click, it still updates. Then if we do this and we click, it now animates over, which is what we want. But if we then rotate, so if we click on something, we expand it and we rotate, it's still showing, that's good. If we click over here, and then we rotate, it's going back to the detail, which is what we don't want. Also that reset, which is a bit weird. So let's do another launched effect to sync the other way. So let's do this, and I'm going to do a snapshot flow of the current value. So once the current value is in the anchor draggable state is the value after things have completed. So there's also target value. So target value is where we're trying to go to.
Mm-hmm.
Current value is where we end up, which can be important as we start to, like, if you're dragging and you're halfway through, those can be different, like where you were versus where you might be trying to go to. So on the current value, let's sync in it. They should be, give me the other branches. I don't want to type them all out. There we go. So if it's list only, we should say that set is detail open is false. So we've resolved to only showing the list. So therefore, we're not really looking at the detail anymore. If it's both, we don't have to do anything. We don't want to like change what's visible. And then if it's just detail, we set detail open as true. So there's a little bit of funky syncing of state here between what the anchor draggable is giving us and what we think is happening. So if we're on the list, we keep showing the list. We go over here, then it is resetting this. So there might be something happening there. Oh, yes. So anchor draggable state, right now we're just doing remember, but the anchor draggable state has some intrinsic state that is now being lost from the rotating because that's a configuration change, recreating the activity. We're losing that state. So we can upgrade this to remember savable, and then anchor draggable state has a saver, and then we can put in these things, and then now it will save the kind of target value that we were in through configuration changes. So hopefully this should help some of the behavior that we see. So we have both open. Now we're looking just at this. If we rotate, we should show this. If we rotate back, we should now keep showing this. That's good. If we go to the list, we rotate, we're still showing the list. We go back, we're still showing the list. And we're preserving
Nice.
whether you're looking at a kind of
Nice.
both or none. So if you are in both, you're looking at them, you go back, you're now looking at both. And I'm doing rotation here, but you could imagine a similar thing for like closing a foldable, changing the window size. It's upside down. So we're seeing both. If we go back, click here, and then unfold, kind of keeping what you were doing before as you're switching window sizes.
Nice.
This is so smooth, actually.
Sweet.
I wish more apps
Yeah.
did this.
Yeah, but this is the annoying part, right? This is, I mean, we are doing it live. I mean, he is doing it live.
Yeah.
With a cat and two Italians that keep annoying him live. How long has it been? Like 1 hour something?
Yeah.
One and a half.
I mean, with the benefit of Alex kind of knew what he needed to do already, sure.
Yeah.
But
yeah,
that's why we're
yeah,
doing the
okay,
stream.
but now
People, use this shit.
yeah, this is documentation.
Yeah.
So you don't need to do anything else. Just point them here.
Yeah,
I mean, probably the cursing and the swearing is not very safe for work, but you know, I mean, headphones and remote working, I think they can pull it off.
Yeah, agreed. And also, like, I'm quickly going through like kind of this behavior of what you're expecting when you're like folding and unfolding. But I think that's also a big benefit of just testing your app on these devices and then seeing if it's what you expect. Like as a user, if you're using this and you like rotate and you lose where you were, you're looking at something different. It's just immediately obvious that like something went wrong. Like there's a bug there.
Yeah.
Whereas if you're only ever testing on like a phone device, like, and you're never rotating, you may never see it. You may not like feel that, but if you're using a foldable device or another one that I really like to test on is the desktop emulator, because that gets into like freeform windowing. So I can swap over to that.
But you know, the other thing that I hear when I tell to people, you know, you should test on foldables and stuff because this is gonna bite you. And they're like, oh, but my users only use phones. I don't need this. And I'm like, well, you don't need it if you forced portrait, which is already annoying. But even if you did force portrait, you would still need to test this stuff because just last week, I was checking into a flight on my airline app. And that process, I think it's probably in a web view. And I left the app because I got a message. And then I went back to the app and it had lost all the stuff that I had done in the check-in process because I hadn't gotten to the very end of it. And I'm like, So yeah, please. I was using a normal phone. Your app is locked to portrait and still you need this. You need to make sure that people can leave your app and come back to it.
Yeah, like for the large screens side, we like talk about like making sure you're handling configuration changes correctly and like saving state through those. Like all that is absolutely critical for large screen devices, but it's not unique to large screen devices. Like if you're on a phone and your app gets like a configuration change happens for theming, or if it's for font size or locale or all of them, plugging in a keyboard, unplugging a keyboard, like all those are configuration changes. All of those will happen to your app. You don't get to just like ignore them or pretend like they don't happen. So like
I mean, you kind of can pretend they don't happen to a point, but still the user will put your app in the background and at some point come back to it. And then even if you ignore all the configuration changes, that's still gonna bite you.
Yep. Yeah. Like you can kind of ignore them, but then you have a bug, probably.
Yeah. I mean, you can 100% have more bugs if you want.
Yeah.
Just pretend that configuration changes never happen is never gonna be a good idea. But
so now we're in freeform mode. I wanted to show something that I think I should be able to reproduce. Yeah. So if we were fully resized, so to show the list, and then you start resizing a bit, sometimes I can get it to, if I do it fast enough, I can get it to swap back over and kind of get out of that mode and swap the target. And I know the solution to this from when I did it before. If you go back to when we're updating the anchors here, there's actually 2 arguments to this. We've only done one, which is the new anchors, but there's also one for new target. And the default behavior of this is that if we have an offset, it'll try to find the closest anchor to the existing offset value that we have. And if that fails, it will use the old target value.
Mm-hmm.
We really kind of only want to keep this value in this case specifically. So we're going to do new target, and we're just going to make sure that we keep the old target value here.
Mm-hmm.
So we never look to see, oh, did my anchors change a little bit? Let's keep the current. Let's find the closest anchor to what the old coordinates were. Let's just keep the exact target value. Now, hopefully over here, we shouldn't see that anymore. So if I go resize, this should always now keep the old target value, which is only showing the list.
Seems to work.
Seems to work.
Nice.
Yeah. I think there's a bit more refinement we could do. Also on the desktop emulator. So the desktop emulator, it's a little hard to see maybe on the stream, but the desktop emulator emulates a mouse that you have connected. So there's actually 2 pointers. Maybe if I zoom in, that'll be clear. There's the pointer that is it's a little funky on a desktop, but there's my desktop pointer, and then there's the pointer running in Android that is synced up to my desktop pointer. What that means then is if I go over a button, like there's deep built-in hover states, which this hover state is kind of going outside the bounds of the thing, which isn't great. So if we go back over to the drag handle, I did the hovering before, but if I hover over it, nothing happens. And the reason for that is I don't think Anchor Draggable does hoverable stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's just a hoverable that we can add in to the interaction, add the interaction source to, and then if we go back here, then if we have a mouse pointer, it should now hover over it when we're using a physical mouse. And this is also useful for stylus. So both stylus and physical mice plugged into Android devices will emit hover events. It's great if your buttons actually respond to them to show what will happen if you click or drag on them. So yeah, that's another thing that hopefully you have built into a lot of material stuff. Buttons have this out of the box, but if you're doing anything custom, it's really nice to have that feedback for when you're using physical mice or a stylus with an Android device. And it's not that hard to add. I think clickable has that out of the box. I think that's just default behavior. Yeah, I think. How much time do we have left?
Minus 6 minutes, as in we should have finished 6 minutes ago.
Okay. I think it's a
But-
pretty good spot
but-
to stop.
This was very cool.
Yeah, and I think it's great content for this kind of stuff. I really want to just point people at this and like, this thing looks ugly on foldable or large screens. Just go there. It's 1 hour. Just make it work. Alex is a nice guy. Let's listen to him.
Thank you. Yeah, I just placed it in the chat. There is the where I was cheating for. There's the list detail compose, which has basically this implemented, committed. So as a reference, most of what we did today is there, that you can use to, like there's a PR I merged in that added this onto where we started today, which was without the expandable pane. So you can take a look there for reference with Anchor Draggable. Yeah, happy to share something. Sebastiano, I now expect Anchor Draggable and Android Studio everywhere. I hope you know that.
As you were doing this, I realized that probably that's not something that I would need in that many places, because I need the split panes, but I guess that would be more using TwoPane rather than the Anchor Draggable, because I would need the normal draggable and then just stop it if I need to a minimum width or height depending on the direction. But yeah, because I have confession, I have a split pane component. It doesn't always work. It mostly works. It mostly works, but it kind of breaks up if you nest it, if you have multiple ones. So I'm probably gonna steal the code from TwoPane and remove all the Android stuff and be like, yeah, I just need the TwoPane. It's fine.
Yeah, I mean, it's a useful thing. I think we want to have something with it, not in Accompanist, but more in Android X somewhere. So yeah, that's also something that's kind of interesting is like the desktop environment of like multi-platform compose for desktop, like that has a lot of the same like needs for like once you start thinking about bigger tablet apps, especially once you start connecting like keyboards and mice. There's a lot of overlap there. So hopefully we can make that overlap, like a positive impact and not everyone doing something slightly different that's not actually
ideally
shared, so.
Put everything in common code so that everyone can use it and build upon the foundation.
Exactly. Yeah. So hopefully.
Man, this was very cool. Thank you very much for coming, Alex.
Yeah, it's always a blast to be here, and hopefully you enjoy the cat.
Yes.
The cat joining as well.
Maybe next time we need to get Roberto as well, and then you can have like a battle of features and let's see how we can make it.
That'd be great. Yeah.
So, Ivan, any parting words?
Yes, as usual, thank you for being with us. If you watched us live today, thank you for the support. Thank you for subscribing. And if you want to rewatch the VOD right after the show, it's going to be available on Twitch. If you are a subscriber, you can subscribe for free if you have an Amazon Prime subscription. Otherwise, you can watch this tomorrow after, it's about this time plus 20 minutes. So we don't risk anything from Twitch on YouTube. And if you're watching this on YouTube, thank you. And remember to like and subscribe. It helps us a lot with the analytics and stuff. And for our OKRs, do we have OKRs, Sebastiano?
Sure.
No.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you, Alex. Thank you a lot. Sebastiano,
should we have one of those old school YouTube comments giveaways? Put you on the spot there.
Let's do. No. I was just thinking if I remember how we do that. I think
you had a website that did that, I think.
Yeah, the key point was I built the tool to do that. So I kind of now remember.
Am I forcing you to maintain it?
That's not funny, Sebastiano.
Do it in Ruby.
I mean, I thought about that. Anyway, there's so much code already in Node.js. Probably I just will need to revamp it. But yeah, let's do a sticker giveaway.
Yes.
So stay tuned on YouTube tomorrow, and we will run a giveaway, Twitter and YouTube, and you will know what to do on YouTube comments. Alex, thank you.
You're very welcome. Happy to be here.
Thank you, Alex. And oh, just a PSA, I have to run now, so there will not be a thumbnail making after show. Something came up, so I need to run in 3 minutes. So now I'm gonna be able to make it, but I'm gonna give you some spoilers for the thumbnail. My idea is that a good part of the thumbnail will have a silhouette of the cat in front of it.
Yeah.
So you cannot see what it is. It's just a cat.
I figured.
And we're dragging the cat out back and forth.
I mean, it's a thumbnail. If I could use a GIF, I would use a GIF.
It's a GIF. Yeah.
Unfortunately, folks at YouTube don't think that's a good idea.
Idea.
I don't know why. I don't understand.
Put a handle on the cat, no matter what, Sebastian. Spoiler for next week? Who do we have?
That's a good question that I've totally prepared for. So next week we have Adam. Hey, Adam. Adam was in the chat earlier. So we're going to be talking about the Android community. Hey, I have a great memory. It just doesn't last a month. Or sometimes an hour, but that's a different problem. But yeah, so next week we're going to be talking about the Android community with Adam. Yeah, there's not going to be coding. I'm probably still going to be able to break the stream in some way because, of course. But yeah, that's the next stream, and then, well, I think we're done. Alex, again, thank you very much, and folks, thank you for coming back and staying with us today. We'll see you all next week. Bye.
Ciao.